Here we go. Time for another top 5 by the Marriage by Design team. That's us. What are we doing a top 5 for, babe, today?
Oh, man. The things that we've observed about married people over the years. Right?
Yeah, so
The people that are in marriages.
we've been blessed to be able to counsel, mentor, advise, I don't know,
Spend time with.
couple 200 or 300 couples over the last 12 or so years. And we've realized over time that married people have similar things in common with one another.
Yep.
And they may not always be what you think. So we wanted to just pick our top 5 things that we have noticed about married people, and we're going to do that right now.
Oh, sorry. Let's get into that.
Before we jump into today's show, I wanted to ask you to check out our website, brand new website, marriagebydesignpodcast.com. That's marriagebydesignpodcast.com. All of our episodes are available there on that website. Love to have you pop over there, follow us there, and check it out.
If you have a topic that you're wanting more information on or you have questions about, you can search on our website by topic, which is a really great feature.
That's right. And more than anything, guys, please share this with someone that would find it meaningful for them. Without any more delay, let's get to the show. Hi, everybody. I'm Nathan Warnock.
I'm Andrea Warnock, and you've joined us for the Marriage by Design podcast. This is a time where we talk to you about God's design for marriage, what the Bible has to say about that, and how we live that out practically.
So today, as I mentioned in the open, we're going to be doing top 5 things we have realized about married people. So you may find that these are things that you see in your own life. They may be things you see in your spouse. They may be things you just see generally in married people around you. There are certainly things that we have noticed about married people. And, look at anytime you do a top 5 with regards to people or relationships or things like that, this is not universal. There may be some things where you go, that's not true for our marriage. Well, fantastic. These certainly are not universal, but there are things that we have seen consistently as patterns in marriage. And how this is going to work, Andrea and I are just going to go back and forth. She gets to go first, and then I'll follow after her. We're just going to start with our number 5, go down to our number 1, and then we will call it a day. So, without further ado, let's begin.
I don't know that I have really a 1 through 5. They all seem kind of like the same for me. So like 5 to 1, but so they're all sort of even. They're all number 1s.
Well, all right.
My
so I
number
guess we're
1,
getting a random order from Andrea. So here we go. Let's do it.
Number 5.
Okay, my number 5 is a little caveat before that. This is less so the longer that a couple is married, but they seem to want to make decisions as a single person, but take the advantages and privileges of a married person. Not
Whoa.
all couples, but it's definitely more so with newlywed couples.
What's that even mean? Like, explain that.
So
Explain yourself.
want to kind of continue thinking and living as a single person. Like, hey, I'm gonna really pick on the guys, I guess, because that's whatever. Like, I'm used to going hunting 4 weekends out of the winter, so I'm going hunting, and I'll see you when I come back. Hopefully, once I get whatever I want to get or whatever, and that is what it is. And women do it too. Like, I've always gone on this girl trip. I know you don't like it because we get up to some things that, that you don't love the idea of. They're not sinful, but I know you don't really love the idea. But, I'm doing that, or I'm wearing this because I've always worn this. And what? You can't tell me what to do.
Ooh.
all these kinds of things, these single thoughts of I make the
That's a good
decisions for myself and I'm the one who answers for those, is I have seen in marriage, particularly more newlywed couples, that it's this weird thing of like, well, yeah, I mean, I've just vowed my life to you, but I'm
We're
still
gonna
making
keep doing the things.
I'm
we've
still
been
making
doing.
the decisions for myself.
Sure.
Then it's like, no, now you have somebody who gets to have input on the decisions that you make, and who is another voice, maybe another voice of the Lord in your life. And so we see that, or I see that in all levels of marriage, all marriages. We see that in a lot of different marriages, more so the young newlyweds, but we
Yeah.
see that in our own marriage too,
Sure.
for that matter. Just thinking as a single person, but wanting the privileges and the other parts of marriage. I'm not talking necessarily about something in particular, but wanting marriage when it suits me, but wanting to make single decisions when that suits me. Does that make
It's a
sense?
good one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's good. My number 5 is I have found, and I'm sure you would agree to this, that married people are almost universally unprepared to be married people. There's just, there are those things in life, right? You might have had 30 children. You might be an OBGYN or a midwife who's birthed 5 million children. You will simply not be able to prepare someone who has never gone through labor for labor.
Sure.
Like there are just certain things that it's
You got to be there.
really hard to be prepared
Sure.
for. In some ways, marriage is that way. But the problem is, I feel like we've all bought into this, like, that marriage is fully that way. And it's not. There's a lot you can do
Right.
to prepare yourself for a successful marriage. And man, I'm just constantly floored by how many people show up the morning after they've vowed their lives away. And it's like all of a sudden they're like, oh, I'm married. I should probably start thinking about what this is. And it's amazing to me because you really put yourself, you have just committed your life to another person. And if you want to set the sort of biblical marriage piece aside, you've just guaranteed someone half of your stuff. And you had no idea, there was no thought that I should probably get prepared for this ahead of time. It's always
there's very
it's
little,
incredible
yeah.
to me how little time people spend talking about expectations in marriage, talking about how as a married couple you want to proceed on things like finances, on things like children, on things like careers and roles and responsibilities and all these kinds of things. That, man, it's amazing to me that married people seem to buy into this lie that, well, we're going to get married and that's just going to kind of all come together.
Right.
And it doesn't.
Yeah.
And then they're freaking out because, well,
It's
I
not coming
expected
together.
that she was going to cook all the meals and they'd be ready by 5:30. I expected that she'd be cool with me going hunting for a month. I expected that she would want to give up her girls' trip because now she's married to me and we like to hang out together more than she likes to hang out with her friends, I thought. And all these expectations that so often go unsaid, and responsibilities that go undiscovered. And so, man, we're just floundering in marriage right from the beginning because we show up completely unprepared. Now, this may not feel super hopeful if you're currently married. Maybe you're currently married and you're realizing that you were unprepared. But there is
Hey, we
there
were
is
there
an
too.
answer to that, and that's not the end of it. You're just the responsibility is a little different because you got to learn to fly the plane, and the plane's in the air. So it's just a little bit different, but certainly you can do it. And man, that's really what this podcast is here for. But more importantly than that, that's what
Yep.
the Bible's here for, is to
Yeah.
help us understand what is marriage and how do we live that out practically. But man, get prepared, because it's next to your relationship with the Lord and your eternal security, it's the most important decision you can make.
Number 4.
Okay, number 4.
All right, what do you got?
My number 4 is that those that keep secrets drown in their secrecy. And
Whoa.
yeah,
You went
I know.
super deep.
I
these.
did kind of go deep with some of these,
Yikes.
but
Buckle up.
but certainly have found with helping out a lot of couples that we have over the years,
Excuse me.
that there is no couple that or person inside of a marriage that has kept secrets and it's worked out for them well, so unfortunately
No doubt.
it's just a way, and we see this with premarital couples too. A person in a premarital couple, or both of them, are keeping secrets from each other, really in a way to defraud the other person, because they're not wanting the other person to find out, and maybe that ruins the wedding or whatever. But we have found along the way that there's never been a time where a secret has come out and it's been like, oh, no big deal. That's okay.
Yeah, for
we'll move
sure.
on. So
That's a good call,
the
babe.
secrets,
Good call.
if there's things you're keeping quiet about, if there's
Stop
secrets
it.
in your marriage, even that you two are keeping together, maybe you're married and your finances are a mess, but you put on a front that, no, we've been through, we've been through the financial stuff and we're buckled down tight on this and it's great. And maybe it's a giant wreck and you're just, trying to live this lie together.
It's a good
We've
call, babe.
never seen that work out well
No.
because that's not the Lord's best for you.
Yep.
Or you have this, oh yeah, we do this secret sin together. And that actually, the lie is that, oh, we have this kind of secret sin together, or this secret life together, or whatever, but we do it together. We keep the secret together. We put on a front. Man, we've seen that crash and burn so many times. So, whether that's individually or as a couple, secrets drown your lives and drown your marriage.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good one. Just don't. I mean, this is really beyond marriage. As Christians, secrets are something that we should look at with suspicion straight off the bat.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean secrets in and of themselves are bad, right? I've had surprises for Andrea where me and the kids kept secrets from her. Yeah, I'm not talking about that.
I think
I'm
we're
talking
all-
about
yeah.
secrets where you're holding it as a secret because you know it would expose you as either in sin, a fraud, whatever. Just don't. That's not something that's a virtue of the Spirit, and we shouldn't be doing it.
Yep.
Right. It's great. My number 4. Newly married people want help. I've found that to be pretty much
Encouraging.
universally
Yeah.
the case. When you meet a newly married couple, they realize pretty quick that in a lot of ways they weren't prepared for this relationship that they've entered into, and they want help. Now, they can have a difficult time expressing that in appropriate ways, right? I think a lot of newly married couples have this idea that, like, well, we're just going to show up to church, or we're going to show up to our, if you're not, don't come at it from a Christian worldview, we're going to show up to our, bowling league, or we're going to show up to our, buddies' houses, and they're just going to want to dig in and help us in our marriage. And that's not the case. Like, if our newly married couples, I want to encourage you, if you're newly married, and I'm talking 0 to 5 years, seek out someone to help you. Because I know I've talked to so many of you. I know you want help. You recognize that, hey, this is something new to us. It's not something we've done before, or maybe you were married before, but this is someone new, which basically means it's completely new. And you want help. Seek that help. Seek that help out. right? Ask people for help. The other side of this is a challenge. This number 4 for me is a challenge for you married couples out there listening to this. And I know we have a huge following of married couples that desire to champion marriage, that desire to help others in their marriage. Prayerfully keep an eye out for newly or nearly married couples in your life and seek them out, right? Cook them a dinner and don't be afraid to ask them probing questions. How are things going? Is marriage what you thought it was going to be? What's the most difficult part of your new marriage? Ask those questions. Those are jumping off points for young couples. And a lot of times I think as marriage champions, we go, oh, I don't want to ask that. Like that's kind of probing. Yeah, it is. But I can tell you, having worked with, of those 2, 3, 4 plus hundred folks that we've worked with, a huge percentage of those were newly or nearly married couples, and they want help. They just need someone to be willing to give it. Be that someone.
Number 3.
Okay, number 3.
Number 3.
Observations about people that are married is that those that choose intentionality change the course of their lives and their marriages and their parenting and all that. And this seems like such an obvious one, and something that we talk about all the time. Being intentional.
This is one
being
I would have
intentional.
guessed would have been on your list.
Really? That's funny. And I'm not saying intentionality in their marriage necessarily. I'm saying in all facets of life. We just find that meeting with people who I can usually, we have oftentimes we're talking to two very opposite sides of the spectrum of people. One who, when they're in like crisis, one who realize they're in crisis and they want the help and they're being intentional. And this may be the kickoff to them being intentional, but they're committed, right? The other who are just like, I guess we're in crisis and I guess this is the right thing to do. They're not being intentional at all. They're probably going to flounder for a while, maybe forever, but there's two very opposite sides of the spectrum that we see in crisis. And one usually has a much shorter time of being in crisis. And the other one is a much longer time of being in crisis, or they just don't work out. And it's the lack, a huge part of it is the lack of intentionality and just thinking something is going to change if I just do this, like do a few things here and there.
Yep.
And so what we see is couples who are intentional, people with individuals who are intentional that happen to be married. And I mean, in every aspect of their life. It changes the course of their lives and their marriages.
Yep.
And this was, I don't know when we started really trying to be intentional with like all parts of our lives. I'm so thankful that it was like an epiphany to us at some point. But I know that it's conversations that we had a long time ago, looking at older couples who were so successful in their lives and their marriage, and realizing they didn't just get there. They've every step. I mean, most of the steps along the way have been planned and executed, or maybe, re-stepping somewhere, right? Adjusting. Right. Yep. And, doing that together. And so the intentionality is a huge piece for people in their marriage.
Yeah, it's a good call. That's a good call. So my number 3 is one that is certainly not universal. We have had the privilege of meeting a number of couples for whom this does not apply, and God bless them. I will say a number of those couples to whom this does not apply, the reason it doesn't apply is because they have hit rock bottom in their marriage. But here's my number 3. My number 4 was newly married people want help. My number 3 is that goes down every day after they're married, just by little bits. And I think it's maybe a psychological pride thing where when you're newly married, you feel like it's okay to
seek
openly
help 'cause
desire help because it's new.
It's new. Yeah.
But then Satan does this trick where it's like, well, we've been married 4 months, so we should have figured this out by now.
You know what? As we were sitting here, as you were talking on your last point, for whatever reason, I was thinking, I've been married to you for nearly 20 years, and I still kind of feel like I'm newly married. You know?
Yeah.
So my point with that is there are still areas of our marriage that I feel like I still feel ill-equipped or newly married in certain ways because things are always changing, but yet we've been married for nearly 20 years.
Yeah,
and I think maybe that's the struggle is it's like, well, we've been married so long, we should have this figured out.
I would also say you and I have eaten a lot of humble pie along the way. So that pride, I think, has been ripped away from us through a lot of, frankly, agony and pain over the years.
Maybe, but I think the lie is
there's
just
some humility there that helps to allow us to go, hey, even if we feel like we've got it figured out, we know we don't. We just don't always know what areas we don't have figured out.
Yeah, I just think it's common for people who've even been married for a long time. They don't want to seek help, but it's common for them to be like, I don't even know. I don't know.
Totally.
That was my point. I don't know what to do with this thing because it feels like a newly married thing. Like it feels like an issue that we should have figured out a long time ago.
Think about that quote we love to quote from The Meaning of Marriage. When he says, my wife and I have been married 35 years, and over that time, she's lived with 5 distinctly different men, and they were all me.
Yeah.
I mean, in a sense, we are always newly married because I'm changing, you're changing, and so this thing that I thought I had figured out about Andrea 5 years ago all of a sudden doesn't hit quite the same way anymore because Andrea's changing, because our family's growing or changing or whatever the case may be. And so, man, having that humility to just constantly be able to go, man, we need help. But also this again is a challenge for all our marriage champions out there to seek those folks out because we have a limited, easy button with newly married, where we can sit down with them, we can get them on the right track, we can challenge them, we can really point out flaws in their thinking about marriage, but that window closes real fast. And the wall goes up, and it can be really hard then to get a couple to open up to you about what's going on in their marriage unless they have trauma.
Yeah.
And that tends to seem to be something that opens people up. But, man, it'd be so great if we could help people get prepared early on and catch it before that window closes. So that's my number 3. That desire for help seems to go down every day after a couple gets married. So get to them early.
Yep.
Number 2.
All right, we're on to number 2. Mine is they forget how to date and woo each other.
Yeah.
So married
Totally
people tend to just forget how to do that. It lasts for a little while, maybe into marriage, and then it's like, now we're married and now we're moving on. I don't have to chase you anymore because I got you. And the wooing, the trying to impress your spouse, dating each other, being intentional. Wait, I already used that one. Thinking about ways to really love them and make them feel ooey gooey and all that sort of thing. Like people who are married seem to forget how to do that. So that's my number 2 observation. And I can struggle with that too, by the way.
That's a good one. Awesome. My number 2, and we don't need to go into a ton of detail on this because we have plans to do this as a full Marriage by Design episode. So we can talk about it obviously lots more when we have a dedicated episode. But this is a huge problem that we have found with married people, and that is that they look at marriage as a skill that they acquire instead of a state of who they are. Meaning, the difference is like, I'm married in the same way that I am proficient at pickleball, right? Like marriage is something that it's a skill I have, and I'm going to get better and better and better at it. And I just need to work at this skill and get better at this skill. And it's something that I do, not something that I am. And that distinction is massive. And it's something that the Bible deals with quite a bit, because this is something Christians can have a problem with in general as well. Christ is sort of something that I have, not something that I am.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I am Christ, but I mean a follower of Christ is something that I have. It's not something that I am. Marriage is the same way. We look at it as like, I'm married. So what does that mean? Well, it means I have,
I do these things.
These are the things that I do to get better at it. And as I get better at it, my marriage gets better. Instead of looking at marriage as something that you are. And as a result of that, there is never a time when you're not married. Maybe that's the right way to say that. As opposed to like, okay, wake up tomorrow morning, I need to do this right stuff for my marriage, and then I leave my marriage and go to my work, and then I work.
Right.
No, you're still married even when you're at work. And actually, ironically, we seem to switch these two things up, where marriage is something we do when we're around our spouse, and work is something we do all the time, because that's who I am. I'm a attorney, I'm an accountant, I'm whatever. And it would just be impossible for me to leave that stuff at work or have dedicated time where I'm focused on what's my family and my marriage and not having work interrupt that. And we switch those things up. So, man, that's my number two. I think it's a big problem. We look at marriage as something that we have, like a skill, and not something that we are, like in a covenant relationship.
And finally, number one.
Okay, we've hit number one. Observations about married
one.
people. My number one observation about married people: the problems are all the same. Everyone
That's a great number
is
one.
having the same problems as everyone else. You are not in a situation in your marriage that so many other people have not experienced.
Man, that's such a good one. That's a really good one, babe.
Your problems are likely the same as your neighbor's problems, and we're all
But
just
both
trying,
you and your neighbor think your problems are unique.
right. We're trying to and keep it secret and grit through it or whatever. But in reality, we're probably all struggling with the same stuff.
That's a
Maybe
good
not at the
call.
same time, but throughout the course of
But
marriage,
maybe at the same time.
right? Throughout the course of marriage, nothing is new under the sun. You will find lots of other people who have struggled, are struggling with the same things.
Good call, babe.
And that's my biggest observation about marriage. And honestly, working, talking with so many married couples throughout the years has helped me to realize that, but just feel so much more freedom in talking about stuff that normally people keep secret.
And you know what happens
keep
almost
quiet.
every time we talk about something like
Oh,
that?
everyone's like, "Oh
Like,
my
oh,
gosh,
man, we're
I feel
dealing
the
with that
same way,"
too.
you know. And it's not like I want to be saying. It's not like I want to be struggling in these areas. So if I don't want to be struggling in these areas, I also don't particularly want to be talking about them because
Sure.
I don't want to have these struggles. But the reality is, if you bring them up, you will find so many people who are like,
That's right.
you'll find less people who are judgmental and more people who are like, yeah,
Yes. Right.
Yep.
We struggle with that too.
or we have.
Yep.
And it's amazing how there's just no problem that you have that somebody else hasn't.
So share it.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to share it, because there are other people around you that are struggling with that same thing, or maybe, to give you hope, people that have struggled with it and found a way through it.
Yep.
And would be willing to share that.
And
with
if you share that and somebody goes,
Cut-
you
yeah,
crazy,
get
find
away
somebody
from
else
that
to share it
person.
with.
Yeah, no kidding. No joke. No kidding. That's a great one, babe. Okay, well, mine's it's a bit cheesy, so prepare
That's
yourself.
good. We're ready for
and
the
then we'll
cheese,
talk
babe.
about it. My number one thing I have realized about married persons, they have forgotten that God is for their marriage. We end every
That
show
was cheesy, but that's
by
okay.
saying, God, remember, God is for your marriage. And we do that. We've done that for maybe ever. Because on this show, because it is such an important truth.
And you're right,
about
it is
marriage.
forgotten. We forget it.
And we forget it. And that cuts two ways, right? There's a sense in which saying God is for your marriage means you don't have the luxury to not be, because God has designed your marriage.
Right.
So, we of course we mean it in, hey, remember, in the same way that we would say, if God is for you, who can be against you? The Bible says that, right? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So this challenge you're having in your marriage, God has got your back. He's lifting you up. He will help you through it. He will help grow you. He will help grow your spouse. He will help bring you together to his glory, because he's for your marriage. But the other way I kind of tongue-in-cheek meant this is, we meet a shocking number of couples, Christian couples, that are ready to give up. Mm-hmm. And I mean both together, not even in an angry way. Just, well, we tried this whole marriage thing, and we know God's not really for divorce, but we probably shouldn't have gotten married in the first place. Or, I know God wouldn't want me to do this, but we're just hurting so bad, or I just really need an escape, or me. And the reality is, God is for your marriage. So if you're comfortable just giving God the bird with regards to something that he designed for your flourishing, but also your pruning and your disciplining in
Your
marriage, and your worship, that's really a you problem. And we've had to have this conversation with multiple couples, that, look, if you're just okay knowing that God created this relationship and put you in it, and it's been rocky. Yeah, there maybe has been some sin or moral failure. Yeah, maybe you're hurting. And I'm not minimizing any of that. But at the end of the day, God has designed marriage for you. And I can say that definitively if you're in one.
Yeah, right.
If you went, I don't think marriage is for me, you got to make that decision before you get in it, because once you're married, it was made for you. The end. Because that's what marriage is. It's a covenant commitment to our spouse. And we forget that God is for marriage generally, and he's also for your
That's great.
marriage.
That's great,
That's
babe.
my number one. All right, babe, any other thoughts on this?
No parting thoughts. No honorable mentions for me this time.
Fair enough. I felt like I had a whole bunch of things that I wrote down, and a lot of them I looked back at and went, I don't really. I mean, there were a lot of things that we've covered in other episodes, right? I wrote down a number of things about how I think married couples' view on sex changes once we get married. Some in some good ways, some in some not good ways. But we've talked about that in other episodes with regards to sex, so I figured I'd just let those episodes stand on their own. I had a whole bunch of stuff that I was writing down about like gender roles in marriage versus society's expectation. Because I feel like one of the things we really struggle with as married couples is how do we justify meaning bring into alignment. How do we bring into alignment God's design for marriage and family with the Western society's expectations of gender roles and family? And I think that we're not doing a very good job, I'll just be really honest with you, of recognizing that there was a plan with regards to those difficult topics in marriage. And we're running from that as fast as we can as a society. And I think it's ultimately going to be to our detriment for men and women and children. And so I had a bunch of things down about that, and then I thought, we'll end up talking about it for 40 minutes, and that'll be a whole episode. So maybe we should do that as a whole episode sometime down the road. So anyway, I ended up with what I ended up with. I probably could have done a top 20 on this particular thing because we just see so much about married people and how our view on marriage changes once we get married. So anyway, man, I'd love to know yours. What would you say are some top things you've noticed about married people? What are some top things you've noticed about yourself over the course of your marriage that you feel like maybe changed or that you came in with an expectation and the reality's been different? We'd love to hear them down in the comments below. If you are looking for help in your marriage, you're welcome to contact us directly, marriagebydesignpodcast@gmail.com. Otherwise, check us out on our website at marriagebydesignpodcast.com. You can follow us there and catch all of our episodes every Monday morning. Until then, guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a blast. We will see you next week for more Marriage by Design. Until then, remember, God is for your marriage.
Thanks so much for listening. We just wanted to say, if you have a comment, a question, something that you're struggling with or need prayer, please reach out to us. You can get a hold of us by emailing marriagebydesignpodcast@gmail.com, or of course you can comment on any of our social media and we will get back to you. But if you have something private, feel free to email us. We're happy to personally respond to you.
That's right. And we do respond to every comment that we receive, either through our website, through YouTube, through our social medias, which leads me to feel free to pop over to our website, marriagebydesignpodcast.com. You can leave comments on any of our videos through that site. We would love to be able to connect with you, but please don't hesitate to reach out. Even if you just need prayer, you need someone to hear what you're going through, we're here for the Marriage by Design community, so feel free to reach out anytime. Until then, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you next time.